You're standing under a hot shower. The water has been running from your head to your toes for the past 5 minutes, but you haven't moved a muscle. Your hands were running through your hair when you paused, somewhere between the shampoo and the conditioner, because a conversation began in your mind, quietly, like a whisper from within. You're telling him how you actually felt about that thing he said at dinner last Thursday, something he's probably long forgotten. And as you do this, you're not angry. You're choosing each word carefully. He's listening to you. He's really listening. "I didn't realize I made you feel that way," he says. And for a few seconds, as you stare blankly at the steamy shower glass, something in your chest loosens. Then the water starts to cool, and you pick up where you left off. Nothing was said. Nothing was resolved. You were the only one who heard the entire conversation. Or maybe it happens on your morning commute. You're sitting in traffic on the highway, coffee going lukewarm in the cup holder, and somewhere between the exit ramp and the office parking lot, you've delivered the perfect response to something your coworker said at a meeting 2 weeks ago. In this version, everyone in the room fell silent because what you said was that good. And then someone honks behind you and you realize you've been sitting at a green light with the expression of someone accepting an award. If any of this resonates with you even a little, stay here. Because what's going on inside your mind isn't random, it isn't strange, and it isn't something that needs fixing, but it is something worth understanding. Because women who build entire worlds inside their own heads are usually women who feel things much more deeply than everyone around them their whole lives long. Maybe you already know what I mean because you've been here before. Maybe you're the woman who, in the middle of the night, reads the message she wrote over and over again, wondering if she said something wrong. You're the woman who overanalyzes every word and stays awake until the wee hours. You're the woman who picks up on a change in her partner's tone of voice and spends the rest of the evening analyzing it. Maybe you went quiet when you were hurt, not because you had nothing to say, but because everything you wanted to say got stuck somewhere between your chest and your throat. And maybe at some point you cut off communication entirely, not through an argument, but through a slow, silent withdrawal that no one fully noticed until it was too late. If you can say, "That's me" to any of these, then you're currently in the next chapter of the story. Because none of this, the analyzing, the questioning, the silence, the withdrawal, disappears suddenly once it's all over. They go somewhere. And that place is the one inside your head where you construct conversations you never had, rehearse words you never spoke, and live out versions of your life where people finally understand what you really meant. Here's the part about being someone who thinks this deeply that no one ever tells you. Your mind doesn't just process what is. It creates what you believe should be. It repeatedly reimagines the endings of your conversations. It creates scenes where you finally say what you swallowed at the Thanksgiving dinner, or where you say the last sentence you needed to say before your best friend stopped calling, or where you say the words you've wanted to tell your partner for months but couldn't figure out how to start. And these aren't fleeting thoughts that pass through your mind and vanish. They are scenes you play out in every possible version. Every step is planned, structured, and detailed. They have a structure. The person across from you responds as if they're saying their final words. You respond in kind. There's a rhythm to it, an emotional flow played out from start to finish. Every moment is a scripted play. Sometimes you don't like the script and rewrite it. You adjust the words that need to be said over and over in each round, perfecting the delivery until what you say perfectly captures your feelings. You know these dialogues playing over and over in your head aren't real, but they feel real. And for those few minutes while you're immersed in them, they give you something your real life can't. The feeling of being heard, the feeling of being understood, of being validated, a sense of resolution, and a sense of being right. A moment when the chaos in your mind finally transforms into something meaningful. So why does your mind keep replaying the same scenario over and over? Because at some point you realize that those conversations, which should have gone as they were meant to, didn't go the way you wanted. You saw how you tried to express yourself and how the other person went on the defensive. You wanted to be honest, but your words were taken the wrong way. You wanted to speak openly, but the response you got made you wish you'd stayed silent. And after all that, your mind offered you another alternative. If the real conversation is going to disappoint you, if speaking up might make things worse instead of better, then maybe the safest place to have that conversation is inside your own head. At least there, the only person you have to convince is yourself. It's your own mind. No one interrupts you, no one dismisses your feelings, no one twists the situation to make you look wrong. What some psychologists describe as this kind of internal rehearsal is actually a sign that there's nothing wrong with you. It's actually your mind's way of trying to fulfill the deep emotional needs you expect to be met in real life. The need to be understood. The need to feel that your words matter. The need to experience a version of connection where you don't have to diminish yourself to be accepted. Your inner world has become the only place where all of this can be fulfilled, and your mind keeps returning there, just as you would keep returning to that one room in your home where you feel safe. And the thing is, when you look at it from your perspective, it doesn't feel like a problem at all. On the contrary, it gives you a sense of relief. After a long day filled with meetings, emails, and brief conversations with coworkers you can't really connect with, once you've done your grocery shopping, replied to group messages, and made sure everyone's okay, the moment you finally have 5 minutes alone, your mind opens up as if it's been waiting for this all day. It feels like a reward after all your responsibilities. Sometimes you get this reward in the shower, sometimes on the way home, and sometimes 10 minutes before going to sleep. Those quiet moments become the only space where you don't care what anyone says or how they say it, where you don't have to understand it, and where you can just be yourself. You're not giving up on the responsibilities in your life, nor are you running away from them. You're continuing to operate within the safe, comfortable space where you feel secure. That imaginary conversation where you finally told your mom how that comment made you feel last Christmas. That imaginary moment when you told your father he needed to support you during your toughest times. That scene where you go back to that moment with your ex and tell them you waited years for their happiness and compromised on yourself. That version of you who, instead of greeting everyone at work with a smile to please them, doesn't care about anyone because you're not in the mood. None of these scenarios are random. Each is tied to something real, something you feel but can't describe, something buried beneath the belief that your kindness or your fear or your emotions are too much for the room to handle. But this is where things start to get complicated, because the more time you spend in those scenarios, the more the real world starts to feel inadequate. Real people don't respond the way you've thought through and written 3 times over. True intimacy requires sitting with uncertainty, and uncertainty is the one thing your overthinking mind has spent your entire life trying to eliminate. So the different lives you lead between your inner world and your outer world gradually drift apart. And at first, you might not even notice it. At a certain point, you start to prefer the imagined version of a conversation over its actual reality, even if you don't mean to. In fact, you spend more time rehearsing what you're going to say than actually saying it. In your head, you have a relationship with someone that's going perfectly in every way, and that person doesn't even know it. And on a quiet Saturday morning, when your partner asks what you're thinking, you say nothing because the truth is too strange to explain. Because in the dialogue in your mind, your partner isn't asking you questions. They're understanding you, listening to you. How do you even say to someone, I was having a conversation with you in my head, and in that version, you understood me perfectly? You don't. You just say nothing. Pour yourself another cup of coffee and let the distance grow a little wider without anyone noticing. And then comes the part where no one speaks. A silent wave that feels like guilt. Because on some level, you know time has passed. Even while you're deep within a perfect scenario, you know the real world keeps moving forward. The laundry didn't fold itself. The email wasn't sent. The real conversation you need to have is still there, untouched. And every time you return to reality, there's a lingering unease, the feeling that you've spent 20 minutes in a place you can't explain, with nothing to show for it. That's why you hold yourself back. You keep telling yourself over and over that you shouldn't do this to yourself. You promise yourself that next time, you'll say what needs to be said without holding back. But when the next time comes, the words still won't come out. You climb into bed and replay the same scene over and over in your head, rehearsing it again for the next time. Then you fall silent and, without realizing it, drift off to sleep. This cycle continues. It's not because you're weak, and it's not because you're running away from life. It's because your mind has been doing this for so long that processing every emotion that feels too big to say out loud has become the default way of dealing with it. I want you to understand something. If you're the kind of person who's been doing all this up until this point in the video, if you're replaying conversations in your head that no one will ever hear, if you're rehearsing arguments in the shower, rewriting the endings on your way to work, and experiencing emotional resolutions that never reach the real world, you're not broken. You're not a dreamer. You're not wasting your time. You're someone with an extraordinarily rich inner world, someone who feels at a depth most people around you will never fully grasp. Don't judge yourself. Don't think you've made a mistake. You're someone who combines your emotions with deep thoughts and analyzes them. The ability to build vast emotional worlds within your own mind with nuanced, detailed characters that feel real and words that carry weight is not a flaw in your nature. It's the same depth that makes you the kind of girlfriend who remembers what your partner said 5 months ago. It's the same depth that makes you the friend who senses something's wrong without a single word being spoken. It's the same depth that makes you the woman who carries others' emotions with as much care as her own. This is the same sensitivity that's present in every video we watch, every behavior we observe, and every silent moment that makes you who you are. But the question worth pondering, and you don't have to answer it tonight, is this: what does the imaginary version give you that you don't allow yourself to want in real life? What does the rehearsed conversation provide that the real one cannot? And right now in your life, is there anyone you feel safe enough with to hear the words you're only saying inside your own head? Because the truth is, the scenarios were never the problem. They were a solution your mind created when the real world didn't feel safe enough for you to express your feelings. And maybe some of those past situations deserved that reaction. But the people in your life today might not be the same as those who taught you to stay silent. And the version of yourself you've been rehearsing in your head, the one who speaks clearly, stands her ground and says, "This hurt me," without apologizing for her feelings, isn't imaginary. She's always been there. She was just waiting for a moment when she felt safe enough to step out. You've been trying to manage these two worlds together for a long time. One is the world where you show up, smile, maintain peace, and say the right things. The other is the world inside your head where you finally say the real things. The first world knows your voice, your expressions, your movements. The second knows your instincts, your feelings. And between these two worlds, you carry a kind of loneliness that's hard to explain to someone who hasn't even tried living this way yet. But you're not alone in this loneliness. You're here with us. And the fact that you're here, that you've stayed here, word for word, tells me something about you. You're not looking for someone to fix the way your mind works. You're looking for someone who understands it. This channel is here today for that very reason. Not to judge, but simply to understand. So the next time you catch yourself standing under the shower, lost in a 10-minute monologue that no one will ever hear, don't be so hard on yourself. She isn't a woman lost in her head. She's a woman who has so much to say that she's built an entire world just to be able to say it. And maybe one day she won't need that imaginary version anymore because eventually she'll find someone worth speaking to out loud. You were never a woman with nothing inside. You were just thinking too much about when that moment would come, and to be honest, you were probably thinking too much about what that moment would be like too.